So I was going to include a student update, but the only significant event is that's happened since March is I'm under quarantine now and doing online school. So I thought I would just skip to my journey through the education system. So with no further ado, here's my journey. So I went to Summit School, and in kindergarten, I dissected a frog. As an explorer, so the way that Summit was set up is that grades were mixed together and then we were given like titles. So explorers were first and second graders. So as an explorer, I learned about the Spokane tribe, Native American culture through tribal dancers who actually came and performed for us in full regalia at our school. And they taught us stories, one in which they actually gave each of us a small black stone that would chip away every time we were kind. And that story has just stuck with me, and I can't find the rock anymore, so I feel like that's a good sign. As a navigator, which is third and fourth grade, I learned about the mythology of constellations, the mathematics behind charting stars, and one of my field trips actually was going to, it was the navigating field trip where we actually got to stargaze, and it was phenomenal. And so the picture you're seeing now is of me with my teacher, Dan Powell, and we're all dressed up for the school play Hamlet. As a trailblazer, which is fifth and sixth grade, I learned about the history of the Transcontinental Railroad and industrialization of our society. And my school, well, my class took a trip and we actually biked the Hiawatha Trail and went through 3 of the really big tunnels. And at the time, it was absolutely terrifying, but in hindsight, it was a phenomenal experience that I will always remember and cherish. And as a Voyager, which is 7th and 8th grade, I was asked to teach the explorers, so actually go into the 1st and 2nd grade classrooms and teach them about birds. And so I worked with an ornithologist who's an expert on birds. And I drew up lesson plans, I researched the anatomy of birds, and I actually was able to go to the Spokane Bird Sanctuary, and I held 2 falcons and an owl. And I just gotta say, Summit is phenomenal and it's the best experience that I've ever had in the education system as a whole. And little and big buddies. So this is actually my most cherishable memory from Summit, is we did a program called Little and Big Buddies, and so the older students, usually in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, would go down and they would help in the kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade classes, and they would help teach the kids, and it was just amazing. And one of my fondest memories of this was my 8th grade year, and my little buddy's name was Jeffrey. And Jeffrey had multiple learning disabilities that were barriers for him to learning how to read. And, I worked with him every day, and he usually had a kind of a short fuse and would get really angry really easily. And this one day I could just tell like he was about to like have a tantrum. And so I pulled him outside of the class, and then suddenly it was like a light bulb lit up in his brain or a fuse connected, and he just got super excited and he ran and he sat in a chair and he started reading, like actually reading. And the day that he read his first book, him and I shouted and hollered and jumped in the hallways so loud that the teacher actually came out and yelled at me. But it was so worth it to see, just to feel like I was helping out with his education. And that's actually one of the things that is inspiring me to continue to become a teacher. And then expeditionary learning. I had a more enriching, engaging, and challenging curriculum at Summit than some of my AP classes in high school. Expeditionary learning is rethinking the system. It allows kids to learn outside the box while still being in the classroom. It is everything that I hope to see in our education system one day, and I am proud to say that Summit has continued to and will continue to influence my values, character, and life. So that's Summit School, which is kindergarten through 8th grade. And then we get to high school. So my freshman year, I was my favorite class was accelerated biology. And let's just say, hypothetically, I was hit by a bottle rocket in class. And ever since then, I've absolutely adored science. So all in all, great experience, hypothetically though. My sophomore year, I was in my pre-AP language arts class, and my teacher encouraged me to go to winter camp, and so I did, and it was one of the most amazing experiences I had during high school is attending winter camp, not just as a delegate, but then the 2 next years attending it as a junior counselor. And so I really attribute me going to winter camp to my pre-AP language arts teacher my sophomore year. And as a junior, I was kind of out of school a lot because I did suffer from lung collapses and such, but the one class that I truly did enjoy when I did attend school was my AP European History class. And I just want to share with you a little bit of history. So defenestration was the spark that started the 30 Years' War, one of the most destructive conflicts in human history. And defenestration is the act of throwing someone out the window. I unfortunately wasn't able to take the AP exam, but if I would have, and there was an essay about the 30 Years' War, I would know what caused it. So thank you to my AP Euro teacher for that important information. And then my senior year, I finally made it into jazz choir. Throughout my entire high school career, I guess, I have been trying to get into jazz choir and developing my singing voice and such. And the second semester of senior year, I actually was accepted into jazz choir. Unfortunately, I was never able to perform with them, but that's okay because, I did it and I got to practice, and it was just a phenomenal experience. And so even though I never got to have a final performance, I'm proud to say that I did get into jazz choir as a senior. So leadership. So freshman year, my language arts teacher asked me to travel with her halfway across the state 2 days before to meet with some leadership students. And I'm really thankful that my mom said yes. I still don't know why she said yes, but she said yes. And because of that, it allowed me the privilege to be a part of AWSL for 4 years. And so these are all of the amazing people that have been part of the AWSL exec team, the Student Voice Advocacy Board, and the Student Voice Advisory Council. And I've been able to work alongside and grow with the best and most diverse leaders in our state, and I couldn't be prouder. So just a huge shout out to all of these students pictured right here. Leadership point 2. State Board of Education, and myself, the Eastern Student Board member. So y'all remember Joe? I miss him. He left me some pretty big shoes to fill, honestly. I didn't know if I was up to the task, but looking back at all of the work that I've done, I'm proud to say that I really did put my heart and soul into the work that I've done on this board. And Margarita, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss you so much. You have so much talent, and I know that you're going to continue to do amazing things, and it has been a privilege to get to know you and get to work with you. So just a huge shout out to these 2 board members who have really influenced my life. And to McKenna, I'm really saddened that I don't get to meet you in person, but I know that you've got this, and I wish you well as in your new position on the board. So future aspirations and college, something we've all been waiting for. So I have decided and committed to attending Gonzaga University, and I'm going to pursue degrees in education or teaching. I haven't really decided yet if I want to be principal, but maybe. And then getting minors in social justice and vocal music. So these are my future plans. Is my video working? Quick question.
It's working on them. It just lags a little bit.
Okay, cool. Okay, just making sure. So being that it is my last presentation, and you all know me so well, I'm going to advocate for chronic absenteeism supports just one last time. So, 504 awareness and student handbooks. Students are desperate for supports for their physical and or mental impairment, but they are unaware of how to request for accommodations using a 504 plan. And so I would like to challenge the board to promote students' rights and responsibilities handbooks to explicitly reference 504 plans. For these, like having model language for these handbooks would make it easier for districts to provide students with info so they can advocate for themselves and so their family can advocate for them. And we also want to like flip the dynamic of this, because the more that myself and the Student Voice Committee has researched into this, students' rights and responsibilities handbooks are very heavy on the responsibility side and not so much on the student rights side. And so I want to flip the dynamic by not just focusing on obligations of the student, but of the obligations of the system to the student. So this is a RCW that MJ actually found, and it states RCW 228A requires the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction to adopt and distribute rules governing the substantive and procedural due process guarantees of students. And then in my own district's handbook, it states students with a chronic health condition which interrupts regular attendance may qualify for placement in a limited attendance and participation program. The student and his/her parent will apply to the principal or counselor, and staff will be informed of the student's needs. And so I also want to reference, the State Board of Education strategic plan that says that one of our goals is that all students feel safe at school and have the supports necessary to thrive. And I also want to point out, we did make a resolution to support students who have chronic absenteeism and or trauma. And I just want to say that as a board, you have the power. Well, we have the power to set and promote a vision. And I am really encouraging and challenging the board to, take this on, because this is a real problem for students who experience medical or physical impairments. So with that being said, this is a very bittersweet farewell. And I just want to share with you wait, is that better? Can you see me?
Yep.
Okay. So, bittersweet farewell. I just wanted to share with you a quote from my favorite book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. And it reads, "Jonathan," he said, and these were the last words that he spoke, "keep working on love." The context behind this is the main character has been striving to be enlightened, to become better, do better, inspire better. And although he reached heights never experienced before, he continued to struggle with empathy. And to you, firstly, I say thank you all for inspiring me. I'm not gonna cry, we're fine. I wanna say thank you for this journey that you've allowed me to take a part of. This has been one of the most rewarding experiences I have ever had, And these last 2 years, I've grown so much as a person, and it's all because of the opportunities that you have provided me with. So thank you to all of the staff and every board member for just being my role models and mentors over these past 2 years. Secondly, we've done an absolutely marvelous job in these past 2 years as a board. We really have. I don't think we, take the time to really look back and see how much progress we've made, but wowza. We have come so far, and even the discussions that we have are shifting to really dive into what students need. And so for that, I also say thank you. You guys are on the right track, and I feel okay leaving, even though I don't want to leave. And finally, I say to you, just like Richard Bach said, keep